Christian parenting.
It's that magical time of the year for homeschool moms, and that is the time that you are looking to purchase curriculum for next homeschool year. Yeah, this homeschool year isn't quite done. Actually, physically, mentally, you might be like, I think I'm done. But you're thinking about next year already, and it just feels new and exciting. And probably you're just a little bit kind of done with this year and these books. And we just kind of just get excited about the newness and just all the prospects and just all of the possibilities for next homeschool year. Let me encourage you to finish this homeschool year strong and balance that with the excitement that goes into planning next year for your kids. Now, maybe this is your first year or you've been homeschooling for a while. You are 1 year more wiser when it comes to homeschool. And if you are about to start your next year is going to be your first homeschool year, whether you're bringing kids from home from school or your kids are young and you're just starting out, congratulations. We are so excited that you're here. It's just you're in for a fun and sometimes a wild ride. But today we are going to dabble a little bit and get into the how to choose curriculum for the next homeschool year so that you can do so with your head on your shoulders. You can get what you need and let's get back out of there, right? And then let's go and enjoy our actual days and not spend so much time or way more money than you need to for the next homeschool year. So let's get into today's episode. Welcome to Little by Little Homeschool Podcast. I am Leigh Nguyen. I'm glad that you are here. Welcome to spring and that time of the year that we are thinking about the next year. Like I just said a moment ago, don't neglect this year though. Enjoy the finishing out and the spring and all of that. But it's just an exciting time of the year. There's conferences and conventions. There is maybe just chatter among your homeschool friends, and there's blog posts and there's things on social media, just all the things showing you all the possibilities for the next homeschool year. I really miss it. I miss doing that. It's been a couple of years with just a high schooler, and we didn't necessarily need to do that. I already had everything I needed. We were doing other things, and we were putting together kind of our own curriculum. But I just remember those years when they were younger, and it was just, ooh, like, can you just see my fingers, like, clicking together right now? Like, ooh, this is going to be so exciting. So I know how you feel. But anyway, I'm glad that you're here for today's episode. And yeah, let's chat about this. Speaking about conventions and conferences, did you know that Little by Little Homeschool hosts a conference in the fall? Yes, we certainly do. And we have been behind the scenes planning out for this coming year. But however, we have not released the details of the new venue, the date, and the speakers. And I'm really excited to share all three of those things with you and just some of the fun things that we're going to be able to do and changing up some things for the better, but just kind of still sticking to the framework that seems to be working really well. If you are interested in attending the conference, it is held in Syracuse, New York. And again, I'm not going to tell you the date yet. You got to stick around and, join the email list. That's going to be in the show notes. That's kind of my point here. Join that email list because that is where all the information and the details will be released first. And then you can hear it here on the podcast and then also on social media. But if you want some first dibs on getting tickets and being in the know and knowing what's going on, I would encourage you to get into that email list and then be watching for that because we are going to start letting you know some of the details, and then tickets will be going on sale very soon. We would love to have you join us if you have not been able to attend in the past. We'd love it if this was your first conference. But if you have attended the other conferences, whether in 2024 or 2025, we'd love to have you back. So pay attention, watch for details, and keep an eye on your email. But like I said in the last episode, make sure your notifications are off and you just check it. Purposely check it. And you can even search for maybe my name and then it might pop up. But again, those emails will start kind of dripping out to you in the next couple of weeks. All right, so let's talk about how to choose curriculum for the next homeschool year. I'm going to encourage you to maybe pause this, or while you're listening to it, go grab a pen and a paper or pull out the notes section on your phone. I'm a pen and paper girl, and sometimes I lose those pens and those papers. But if it's in my notes, I don't ever really use those. I guess I'm just old school. So anyway, do what is going to be best for you, or maybe just you might remember all this. I hope you do. Okay, let's start with how to choose your curriculum. I'm not going to go right now into the curriculum. I know that's what you want, but hold on. I promise we're going to get to the meat of this. But actually, the beginning of this is some meat too, because I really want to encourage you to think more deeply about it. Don't just choose a curriculum because Susie homeschooler over there seems to be excelling and she's using a certain curriculum. And you're like, well, that must be the solution. That's what I need to do for my kids who don't seem to be learning as well, or I'm having a hard time with consistency and all those things. No, you have to evaluate you and your homeschool, your family, put your blinders on, put your head down, do the work for you. Doesn't mean that Susie homeschooler over there isn't doing great for her family. I really hope that she is. But she's going to do her. You do you, okay? So the first thing is to know your why. Why are you homeschooling? And if you are a Christian mother and a believer in Jesus Christ, you follow the Bible, you have a biblical worldview, your why is going to be deep, very deep. And I want you to take time to think about that, to pray about it. Talk to your husband about your why. Many families who maybe don't come from that point of view have different ideas. They're like, well, my why has to do with education and how I want them to be educated and educated for, this century and just all the things. That is great. I encourage you to add that to your why. But I want you to go deeper. I want you to get into God's word. I want you to stop and to look. What are we doing here? What is the purpose of these years of home educating our children? Go deep. It's also okay to say, well, my why is because I want to keep my kids from certain things. I want to keep them from certain curriculum or certain ideologies, or whether it's learning from teachers or learning from the administration or learning from fellow students. And you might say, I want to keep them from something. And that's fine. That can be included in your why. But may I encourage you not to stay there? Because oftentimes what I see is that when parents stay there in this is what we are doing this to keep our kids from this, they stay in a negative space. And we want to move to a more positive space that is exhibiting the fruit of the Spirit. Now, you might be somebody who is a champion and wanting to expose the school system and what they're teaching kids, and that is your mission that God has given you, then please, by all means, continue doing that. But if you are, I don't want to say just, but you're just a homeschool mom. You're just home. You're with your kids. When we stay in this space of, oh, I can't believe what they're doing at the school or in general, maybe not at your exact school, although this stuff is going on everywhere in every single school. But when we focus on all of that negative stuff, that just kind of just stays in our mind, and we aren't focused on the goodness that God has, the fruit that He has for this season, for this time of raising your kids. So it's okay to have that, and I encourage you to say, like, hey, this is what we're trying to protect and shelter our kids from. But then let's then get into that deeper part. So first, you need to know your why. The second thing is to create a vision statement. Now, this could be even maybe you have a family mission statement. If you do, I would encourage you to maybe put like a little subset underneath that has to focus on, that just is focusing on the homeschool and the home education of your kids, and just use that as a vision statement. Or you could create a vision statement, a mission statement right now, because you've never created something. Sit down with your husband and talk about it. And this is what is the big picture? What are we overall going for? This is not like we want our kids to read these certain types of books or these certain classics, or we want them to learn the trades in this certain area. Those are goals. Vision statement is going to be a bigger and broader statement. It can include those things. It can include the fact that maybe you want to give more of a classical education to your kids, or you want to have more of a hands-on practical education. That's okay to include that, but just go broad. Don't go with those little minute details, because we're going to get to that, I promise. But a vision statement, if you've never created one, just kind of think of like a company, a business. They all have some type of vision statement. If you don't know where you're going, you're going to get off course. And so when you are making your decisions about how you're going to spend your time, the curriculum that you're going to purchase, what are you doing here? Is joining a co-op a good idea? Is using this certain resource a good idea? You can make that decision much better if you say, does this, making the decision to do maybe this co-op, does that fit our vision? Now, sometimes our vision can adjust a little bit and say, originally it didn't, but I'm starting to see that our kids need this, or I need this right now in this season to kind of offload a little bit, or to come together with others. We need a little bit more, socialization or something. But when you create a vision statement, you always have something that it's kind of like the guardrails, or like think of like when you go bowling and when you're a kid, you put the bumpers up on so that they don't get into the gutters. The ball doesn't get into the gutter. So there's just kind of bumpers there. And so this is your bumper. You might kind of bounce, you'll start to make a decision, bounce off. Oh no, that doesn't align with our vision statement. Hit the other side. No, that doesn't either. So the goal is to, hopefully when you look back, there might be some zigzags and stuff, but sometimes there might just be some straight lines right down that lane. And now that we've kind of touched a little bit of a first tier for those three, now let's go to the next tier, and we're going to get a little bit more nitty gritty. The third step is to discover your homeschool style preference. And maybe this is your homeschool style preference for right now, for this season in life. You might have had one previously, and you might say, you know what, that was too rigid, or that was too strict. It just isn't working for us right now. I want to move into maybe something that's a little bit more informal, or a little bit more fluid, or a little bit more relaxed. Or you might go vice versa. But do some research on some of the popular terms that you have probably heard of: classical and unschooling and Charlotte Mason. And if you start to find like, I don't really fit into any one of those, it's okay to go ahead and pull from different ones. And if you're saying, I really don't even know, I'm just kind of clueless, it's okay to start off and to be a bit more traditional. Most of us start off our homeschool with being a bit more traditional. We get maybe some textbooks, we get specific curriculum, or you might just purchase a box curriculum. It comes with everything, and you just kind of stay in that lane of, this is what I'm familiar with, and we'll do lessons. They'll do a worksheet. I'll do another lesson the next day. They'll do a worksheet, and that feels good and safe for that time. That is absolutely okay to do. And maybe that fits for you and your homeschool, your entire homeschool journey. That's great. I want to encourage you to do that. Pick that lane that you think is best for right now. Stay in it for as long as is good for you and for your family, and then maybe change lanes if you need to, or it's okay. This isn't like we're not driving on our actual road right here. So it's okay to straddle a couple of lanes and say, well, I like this from Charlotte Mason, but I like this from classical. And then I just don't know what to do with these certain subjects. So we're just going to kind of pull in some traditional, or we'll do some online. That is okay to do. But when you do some research and you figure out maybe your homeschool style preference, it helps to narrow down the curriculum that you're going to be looking at, because there are thousands, if not millions, of different options out there, as you well know if you've even spent a couple of minutes searching for curriculum. Okay, step 4 is to set some goals. I mentioned that earlier. It's not the vision statement. These goals are going to be underneath the vision statement. If setting goals sounds overwhelming for you, I want you just to look at and set maybe 1 or 2 goals for your family for next homeschool year. Once that feels comfortable, then maybe say, okay, I'd like to set 1 or 2 goals for each of my kids as well. Or maybe that feels a little overwhelming, and you might say, okay, maybe just for the couple older ones I will. The younger ones, we're just kind of still doing a lot of play type of learning. And so for the older ones, I'd like to hone in and work on some goals. And how do you determine what these goals are? You spend time with your kids, which you're already doing. Look and say, okay, I think they're really struggling in this area of math, or I really want them to get better at reading, or I am not sure if they're struggling to read, or you know what, they're just not quite ready to read. So my goal is for myself to read to them X amount of books every single day. Or you might have older children. You might have high schoolers, and you might say, you know what are my goals? Like, what did I wish that I had learned before I graduated high school that would have really prepared me much better for the world? And some of those areas for myself personally was like, okay, well, how about learning more about finance and personal finance, and learning how to budget? How about doing our taxes? How about things like logic and being able to determine propaganda and fallacies? And how about just ordering a day and knowing how to be more disciplined? And maybe it has to do with their physical fitness, or I'd like them to understand a bit more how a household runs, or cooking and baking, or entrepreneurship. But looking at sometimes what would really help me set goals for the high school years is like, what did I wish that I had? And then looking around and being like, okay, what did I have to actually learn as an adult that would have kind of given me a little bit of an edge? It would have given me a leg up if I had learned it previously. And then, of course, obviously, you learn the taxes. It's very, very basic. They get their first job. they do their taxes and it takes not much time at all. But they have that foundation, knowing that, when I go to do our taxes now, I'm like, it's so much more complex. Why can't I just go back to that simple where we just had one W-2 and that was super easy to do? But your kids would have that foundation of just doing their basic taxes. So think about that with the high school years and use it as an opportunity to be able to have lots of conversations, and they'll be way ahead. Okay, so now let's get into step 5 of actually choosing your curriculum. First thing I want to encourage you to do is to set up your morning time. What does that look like? What types of books do you want to do for morning time? What are the ages of your kids? Can they all participate, or is the baby, when is the best time to do? Is the baby sleeping? But look at what kind of topics do you want to cover morning time. But also included in morning time would be family learning. I think that there doesn't need to be a separation necessarily. I mean, you could say morning time / family learning, and obviously morning time doesn't have to be in the morning. If you do have a baby that's napping in the afternoon and it's best for you to do those things together at 1 o'clock when the baby's napping, then go ahead and do that. But at this point, you might not know if the baby's still napping. It's April right now and you start in August, September. Who knows? Baby might be completely on a different type of schedule. But setting up your morning time can look like just writing out a list of maybe books that you want to read together, whether it's read alouds or different topics that you want to do and cover. And so then also figure out your family learning. And a lot of that can be the content subjects, things like history and science and geography. And maybe you want to add in cooking. And I mean, really the sky is the limit when it comes to the family learning and some of those different subjects that I mentioned earlier. And then, so after you have figured out what are you going to do together for your morning time and for your family learning, then start to say, okay, what then is left? What do they need to do individually? And we know we go to the 3 R's. We got the reading, writing, and arithmetic. So we know, though, that kids can be at different levels. You might even have kids, though, that are maybe 2 years apart and they're kind of close in level when it comes to reading. That's okay. They all need to be at their own pace and evaluate each of the kids individually and say, what is going to be the best curriculum for them, the best resource for this child for next homeschool year for math? How about then for language arts? Now, when it comes to the curriculum, do some research. It's overwhelming. I know it really is. Choose the best that you know of, the best curriculum that you do some research. You know of these. Don't worry about the ones you don't know of. Choose the best ones that matches your family culture, your vision, your homeschool style, and the goals that you have for the homeschool year. Also consider your budget. Stop looking at the curriculum that is out of your budget. If the budget for your entire family is, say, $400, don't be looking at that curriculum for, say, just math for one child that's $300, because then you only have $100 left for the other maybe 4 kids. I know that might be a little bit of an extreme example, unless the goal is like this $300 math curriculum is promising, and I've heard so many great things about it. It's going to get my kid out of that math rut. Then maybe you just make it work with the other $100 for the other couple of kids and you get scrappy, right? But consider your budget. Don't go over the budget. I've done an episode all about the budget and everything. And then also consider how much curriculum do you want to do in books? How much curriculum do you want to do on screens? And that's going to be a very individual decision for you. Talk to your friends about what their curriculum they use. Listen to get your hands on the curriculum if you can. Take a look at it, thumb through the books, see if it's going to be a good idea for you. Watch YouTube reviews. Sometimes the best things when you watch a YouTube review, they might say, we did this history curriculum and we didn't like it for 1, 2, 3 reasons. And you might say, you know what? I actually want it for those reasons. So maybe it's a good one for you. So don't knock the curriculum completely out because some stranger on the internet said that they didn't like it or they did like it, and vice versa. You got to pick what's going to be best for your family. And then also, try to get it in your hands. But when you're doing the research and you're looking into this, set a time limit. Maybe it's like, okay, I'll give myself 2 weeks and I will allow myself to look for 1 hour every single day. Or you might say, you know what, I'm only going to research for 20 hours total. And then that's it. Get the best that you know of right now and then move on. Okay? Make your purchases, put those aside for next year, finish out this homeschool year strong, have a great summer, and then go ahead and pull out your curriculum and carry through with the plans that you are planning on right now. In other words, right now, after you choose the curriculum for next homeschool year, stop looking. Scroll right past those accounts that are sharing new curriculums. Don't watch any more YouTube videos. You have chosen during that time what is going to be best. There are so many options out there, and you can feel there's a lot of FOMO, right? You feel like you're missing out, that your kids aren't going to have the best things and everything. I look back and like, oh man, I wish that this was available then, or I wish it was available and I wish I knew about it. But you know what? What's done is done, and it will all be fine. I promise and assure you that. If this episode has kind of given you a little bit of a taste, we've just kind of have scratched the surface, but you are saying, I need something a little bit more in depth. We go deep into this in your homeschool blueprint, and there is a workbook, and I'm going to give you some fun homework and stuff to do, and places to write all of your notes and to figure out exactly the curriculum. It's all in one contained space, but I walk you through with videos and talk you through how to do each of these things, plus a lot more. This is the perfect time to join your homeschool blueprint, because you do it now, get that curriculum, and then like I said, you're going to put your blinders on, you're going to put it away for the summer, you're going to have a great summer, you're going to pull it out, and you're going to be fully prepared to step into the next homeschool year. You can get more information about your homeschool blueprint at littlebylittlehomeschool.com/blueprint, and as always, the link will be in the show notes for you. Have a beautiful day.